Welcome back, everybody. Automotive Inc. Today we are going to touch on a very, very touchy subject that just hit the internet. Before we get going, all right, let's talk about this subject. Now, as you guys know, I always ask, if you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button for me. It is free to do, doesn't cost you anything, but what it does is let you know when I'm posting new content, and it helps a small channel out. So free and help somebody, nice deal, right? So if you guys have noticed on the internet over the last few weeks, many major mechanics have came out and talked about a very controversial thing: cold starting, right? So in Colorado it's not super cold, it's about 25, but a lot of people live in areas where it's cold all winter, and we do get cold snaps here and there. Now this is a gas engine truck, and there is my gas engine Subaru. And what I don't currently have is a diesel truck. But this is going to go for everybody when it comes to cold weather starting. Even if you plug that diesel in and it keeps that engine block a little bit warmer, I'm going to disagree with those mechanics. Being a truck driver, we go out and fire up those big trucks and let them warm up. That is a lot of cold steel. Well, even if you got a gasser, it's kind of the same thing, right? You have cold oil, so it's harder to move through the pump, it's harder to get through the engine. And so I'm going to disagree with them quite a bit when they say hop in, fire that thing up, and go. Now, if you own a Ford or a GMC, they have the rapid start heat and the auxiliary rapid heater to help it warm up stuff inside. And it's a special order thing. You have to have that. If you don't have that, you're kind of just relegated to what we are currently talking about. And what I will tell you guys is, with all the new environmental stuff, I say never idle a diesel all that long, but it needs to be warmed up at least a little bit. One, you need oil pressure to get to where it needs to be. Two, it's probably going to need a couple seconds. And almost every truck, until the current ones that don't have an owner's manual that you can physically take out and dig out and talk about, they all say let this thing get up to normal operating temperature. But the other pros are saying just hop in it, fire it up, wait 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then start driving down the road. Well, guess the jury will be out on who does that and who doesn't do that. Now on my 16 Ram, you could get in, push the brake pedal, push the start button, and it would fire up almost instantaneously. But what I would do is I would get in, I would push the button twice, and I could see an actual grid heater countdown over there. So Ram doesn't currently, or didn't in the past, use glow plugs. It sounds like they may be going that direction, but they always wait to start. All right, and sometimes I'd even cycle it a couple times, just letting the glow plugs or grid heater do its thing. Then I let it fire up, and then I let it warm up. And once it's been running for a couple seconds, if you want to kick it up to a high idle, if your diesel has that feature, I would say go ahead and ramp up that idle. And unfortunately, yeah, that truck's gonna have to be driven. If it's one of the new diesels, you're gonna have to get out and drive that to actually make sure you keep that as clean as you can, the DPF, the EGR, and all of that stuff. Now when you hop in your truck, of course, you can see that we have an oil temp of 105. It's gonna take a little second or two for that to do. And usually most of these cars that can be remote started actually have a timer off, so after 15 minutes you'll shut off. And in this Ford, the owner's manual is in the screen, but every diesel I've ever had has said let the oil pressure build up to proper range, and then, you know, I'm not saying idle this thing for an hour. I'm saying I think it behooves you for that oil to warm up to some extent, get through the engine to some extent at a low idle before you start putting boost into it. But I'm going to say the same thing when it comes to a gas engine. The 7.3 Godzilla will probably warm up within 5 to 10 minutes, and you don't have to worry about clogging the EGR and stuff like that, or the DPF or regens. But it really benefits you to let that oil work through the engine slowly before you just start driving it. There's nothing modern about city driving, or really any driving. Unless you live on an old country road, you can just putt down the road at 5-6 miles an hour. But you know, at the end of the day, guys, I think that hopping in and just driving it is not going to be a benefit. So like I said, I've been asked to sound off on this. I've always warmed them up. I mean, hell with a gas engine, you could let it run all day. And in the old world with diesels, you would say it was better to just leave the diesel running than it was to shut it off and turn it on, shut it off and turn it on, shut it off. That's the way I grew up on. And to be honest with you, I've ran with this motto since my pops told me when I was a kid. Fired up my old 63 Chevy, I'd go and pull the choke out, fire it up, let it sit in the driveway for 20 minutes. Probably getting horrible fuel economy, but at the end of the day, 268,000 miles on that little inline six, millions of miles on all my other vehicles combined by following this mantra. Again, you do you. And at the end of the day, I always say, go back online. You can go in and Google up just about any year of auto manual, even some of the old stuff from the 90s and the older stuff you can even find. But for the newer stuff, Ford has their owner's manuals on the website. You can go there, and I would always say this, whether you follow that professional mechanic, you listen to what I'm saying, or you do you, just follow the manufacturer's guidance there, guys. You know, everybody else is, like I changed my oil at 2,000 miles. I changed my oil at 20,000 miles. Whatever, man. At the end of the day, I would just follow the owner's manual, the manufacturer's guidance on this. So that way, one, if you're under warranty, the trucks are collecting data. And like I said, if you're up on your oil changes, keep proper fluids in there and stuff, and you just want to hop in and go, then you do you. Just keep in mind that if it ever comes back and the manufacturer says do this, this, and this at a minimum, and you can't prove that you did those things, it could lean into an issue with warranty claims and stuff like that. But I have never just hopped in a cold ass vehicle. Even my Subaru has a little blue light that says wait until this light goes off before you drive it hard. And driving it hard is a speculative way because people can look at it a million different ways on what you consider driving hard. But even in my little Subaru, that thing will warm up probably in 2 minutes. What's 2 minutes of your life just to give your car a little bit longer time to warm up and make sure it gets proper lubrication? Because at the end of the day, that is one of the destroyers of a modern vehicle or any vehicle is lubrication. Low oil pressure, thicker oil can't get through, and your demand is there. It heats the block up real quick. I don't know. But that is my 2 cents. I appreciate you guys all asking me to sound off on that. And I will tell you one thing before I leave about the 7.3 Godzilla. This has a high idle ramp up, and it does on its own if it dictates it needs it. It ramps it up and then it cuts it out back down to what's like 700 RPM right now. But it'll go up to like 1300 to get this vehicle up to operating range as quick as it can so you can get back to work. And I think at the end of the day, most cars will have that little higher idle. Yeah, that's where I stand on that. As always, guys, I appreciate you guys being here, and we'll catch you on the next one.